that it is the year 2000. The world has been knocked back into the Stone Age by the Y2K bug. Armageddon, Ragnarok, and World War III are all happening simultaneously. And every prediction Nostradamus ever made has come true. Basically, a world lost in the depths of chaos. However, even when the nation has been shaken to its very foundation, one monument remains. The United States Constitution stands unconditionally to guide us, its children, through the surrounding turmoil. Some might dismiss this as a gross exaggeration of the role the Constitution plays in the lives of Americans. And while the events have certainly been dramatized, the message remains clear. The Constitution serves as strong parents to the nation, as can be seen by the Articles, which nurtured it in its infancy, the civil rights and personal freedoms, which appease and guide us during our rebellious stages, and the ability to adapt as the nation matures and develops. Essential to the raising of any child is a strong, stable structure during the early formative years. The first three articles of the Constitution have proven over a period of 200 years that they are more than capable of stabilizing the nation. Heading into the Constitutional Convention, the United States was quickly approaching disaster like a fork-wielding toddler to an electric socket. The Articles of Confederation's weak central government was left powerless as the states went wild. Irresponsibly minting individualized currency, levying tariffs on goods from other states, and taking a swan dive into debt and depression. While in Massachusetts, the people called out for hard money in the form of Shays' Rebellion. It is no wonder that Washington said, mankind, when left to themselves, are incapable of government. Thankfully, the Constitution took the positions of both father and mother, establishing clearly defined roles in government with the list of house rules to abide that restrained the nation before it received that fatal shock. The first three articles of the Constitution provide guidelines for nearly any situation. They allow Congress to raise armies and declare war in the worst of times, and even ensure that the country can continue to move forward after the death or removal of its leader. Luckily, the Founding Fathers cared enough to provide a surrogate patriarch in their absence, so that a fledgling confederation of independent states could have a chance to reach maturity. The Constitution appeases, guides, and comforts us in our rebellious stages through the granting of civil rights and personal freedoms. President Lyndon Johnson said, "The genius of the Constitution is that there is ample room under the enduring institutions and rooted principles for the rich fertility of American political invention." Immediately after it was presented for ratification, people demanded more from their parents. Sure, the House rules are great, but what about those inalienable rights that Jefferson talked about? The Constitution answered with the Bill of Rights. The nation's young eyes were forced to look upon the hideous picture of slavery and rampant inequality. The Constitution consoled us with Amendments 13 and 14, abolishing slavery and granting equal rights and protections to all Americans. We developed answers and opinions on all the problems we saw in the world around us, but had no means to voice them. The Constitution encouraged our crusade for liberty by providing the platform of Amendments 15, 19, 24, and 26, our voting rights. Through long nights of compromise, mature family discussion, and even simply crying on the supportive shoulder of our parents, we have acquired the most complete collection of personal freedoms in the history of the world. So why don't we act like it? Why, when our loving parents have offered the best possible advice, do we refuse to accept it? These are the natural rights of the Enlightenment. They're the principles that men gave their lives for. Let us not cheapen their sacrifice, but rather smile contentedly for the gift our parents have willingly given us: freedom. What separates good parents from the best parents is the ability to adapt as the nation matures and develops, an ability the Constitution has mastered to perfection. Our tremendous president, Franklin Roosevelt, called the Constitution the most marvelously elastic compilation of rules in government ever written. Article 5, the amendment process, is the limber, well-oiled joint that allows our parents to fight off the arthritis and rigidity of old age. For example, in the early 1900s, the nation experienced a surge in Christian fundamentalism, and the temperance movement reached its peak. Once again, the Constitution yielded to our pleas for change, and Amendment 18 was ratified, the prohibition of alcohol. However, prohibition did not work out exactly as planned. So like some forgotten toy on Christmas morning, our parents returned it. It was repealed. It is this willingness to expand its horizons that truly immortalizes the Constitution as both a mother, exquisitely nurturing and caring, and a father, unsurpassed in stern understanding. And that is why it will always play the most vital of roles in our lives. The final reason that the Constitution is the highest evolution in parenting is the elastic clause of Article 1, Section 8. While Congress already has a plate full of responsibilities detailed in the House rules, a large number of powers exist only through this clause. Alexander Hamilton's National Bank, the federal highway system, and programs such as welfare and Social Security all fall under this immense umbrella. And isn't that the intangible, unexplainable quality which truly makes one's parents special? The ability to know what the child needs before the child itself even knows enough to ask. Like the mother that packs extra underwear, just in case. Our constitutional parents do not simply provide for today, but they provide for tomorrow. Associate Justice Felix Frankfurter said, "The words of the Constitution are so unrestricted by their intrinsic meaning, or by their history, or by tradition, or by prior decision, that they leave the individual justice free, if indeed they do not compel him to gather meaning not from reading the Constitution, but from reading life." That is the basic message. The Constitution is life, and we owe it our very existence. Today, the United States of America stands fully grown. The innocence of childhood is gone. The America of Washington, Jefferson, and Franklin is no more. But even still, we need our mother and father. Some might say that America has become so prosperous and accomplished so much that there's nothing left to do except go down. But if we have indeed reached the very peak of Olympus, then we must simply learn to fly. Now, as the nation prepares to test its collective wings, the Constitution stands as a modern daedalus to guide us, like any good parent, unconditionally.